Hey guys, Landon,
Justin.
Justin here. Awesome. Today we're talking Tau. We're going to go through the Tau Codex, talk about some data sheets, talk about units that we think are super strong. Thanks for being with us.
Okay, so when it comes to Tau, I started with Tau, and especially at the beginning of 10th edition, it was really hard to start with Tau, just because of the, I mean, everyone knows about the point decrease that happened, just because, I don't know, I had the hardest time. I feel like the stuff that I was playing was getting taken off the table so quickly. I couldn't do it. I realized now that was partially due to me being an inexperienced player, but after the points decreased, I was like, a little bit of validation, you know, it helped my state of mind.
Yeah, for sure. So after the FAQ, Tau got quite a bit of points reduction across the board on a lot of units. And I think that made them way more playable and a lot more tastier on those units.
Yeah, especially since a lot of the Tau units, I feel like they go way better in groups of strategies, because Tau is all about those strategies. We're going to talk a little bit about those strategies, but what we're going to do mainly is go through the units one by one, alphabetically, right?
Yep.
And we're going to rate these guys.
And we're just going to rate them. We're going to talk about them, how useful they are, how useful they think we are in different lists and compositions. We're just going to talk about it. If anybody has any questions, feel free to ask it in chat. Talk to us about it. We're just going to be ranking these units. And if you guys want to check out our other websites, we've got Battle Reps on YouTube, information on TikTok with painting tutorials, and we also have our Patreon up. It's a great way to support us. We actually have physical boxes, merch that we're going to give out every single month to our subscribers, and it's going to include different products. It's going to have maybe some paintbrushes, maybe some paints, maybe stickers on the factions that you like, different things each month. So we're going to be giving those to our supporters on Patreon. Go ahead and check that out. Let's dive into this. We're just going to go alphabetical through each and every single unit and talk about them. So what's our first one?
Yeah, Aunshi. You're going to have to correct my pronunciation on a few of these.
Our pronunciation's we're probably gonna slaughter a few of these, but
yeah. So Aunshi, he's leader of either a strike team or a breacher team. He's a good leader, but I feel like he's not one of the best leaders. Yeah. So
I agree. He's cool model, good sculpt, everything, but I don't think he's the most useful.
I like his attacks personally, and honestly, when it comes to Tau, I feel like they don't actually get very much melee.
Yeah.
Right. But having a leader that does do melee, sticking it with a unit that doesn't do melee, it can be difficult sometimes because they don't really have much backup. You can't play it as this is my melee unit, so it kind of breaks that up. And so for that reason, do you have anything else to say about him or?
No, not really. I think he's okay. He does have an invul and stuff like that. His stats are okay, but I think that just makes him okay. So we're gonna go ahead and stick him in the B tier. It's AUN apostrophe SHI. Aunshi.
Yeah, Aunshi.
So Emily's helping us out. She's going to be ranking these on us and chart for us. But yeah, this is one of the ethereals.
Yeah, so next one is Aunva, spelled AUNVA. And that guy is kind of a unique character. One of my favorite, I think the best talked about ability that he has is the ability to once during the battle, for the entire phase, he gets a 2-up invul, so he just really can't be hit. One of the biggest flaws that I think is that if you do that in the shooting phase, then he kind of loses it for the melee phase if anyone decides to charge you.
Yeah.
But it is nice if people aren't close enough to you to melee. It can just kind of be like you're not getting me off of this objective, I'm not going anywhere kind of move. So, but it's not a permanent thing. It's not like a once per turn thing. And so it really just have a lot of limited uses.
Yeah. One of the things I actually like about him is that he does have that paradox of a duality ability. So each time an attack targets this unit, subtract a 1 from the hit roll and 1 from the wound roll. So that's like double subtraction, which is nice. But I just think there's better ethereals out there. So
Yeah.
He's okay.
He's okay.
Yeah.
So we're going to rate him at B tier as well.
Yeah. So we're going to have those two in there.
Going down to Breachers.
Yeah.
I love Breachers.
Breachers.
Yeah, these guys are great. There's so much to say about Breachers, but we're going to keep it at, despite having T3, which is low. That's definitely low. They're not necessarily all for the surviving, especially not if they melee you, you know? They're able to, and this is the key, be in tandem with a vehicle. If a lot of people are talking about the Breacher Fish combo.
Yes. We're going to talk about this. I might as well go into it now.
Yeah.
Because we're talking about Breachers. Super, super great combo. You build this in your army, you're going to pair it with the Devilfish just because they're so cheap. Breachers are good, but their range on their weapons are super, super short, right? That's kind of their thing. So you just have that transport. They can put them almost anywhere you need them, and then they can pop out and shoot what they want.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Greatest thing about, no, I guess not the greatest thing, but a good thing about Devilfish is not only their movement, but the fact that they can advance and still drop these guys out and have them shoot. And so you just stick them back there behind whatever you need to hide behind and then drop them on an objective. And then with that Breacher unit, I love this ability. It's as long as you're focusing on people on objectives, you get to reroll the wound roll.
So good.
Oh, so good. And so
good.
Yeah, if you're pairing this with a Commander Farsight or honestly a Tetra, and then using that for the greater good ability, they're 3-up. You don't see many 3-ups in Tau, which is crazy to say because there's the shooters. But you don't see many 3-ups, but they do have a 3-up with their weapon. And so you're dropping that down to a 2-up, and you're hitting pretty much all the time, you're wounding pretty much all the time, and you're doing a -1 AP. And it's great. Yeah.
Their weapons are assault too. So, let's say you drop them off, the Devilfish dies. You still can advance with these units and get around the board.
And still do that 9-inch or the 10-inch range blast.
So, yeah, super good. S tier. We're going to put these guys in the S tier.
S tier. They're super useful. They're awesome. Every army needs one.
I think they're the best infantry unit. Yeah.
Okay, broadside. Man, we talked a lot about broadsides.
We did talk a lot about broadsides.
So I feel like there's like the big 4 battle suits, you know?
Yeah.
This is one of them. Broadsides are good. The T6 is one thing that I don't really appreciate as much, just because when it comes to Tau battle suits, I want them to stay on the board.
Yeah.
T6 is good though. Like, it's not something that you're just going to take off the board one shot.
Yeah.
But when running these guys, me personally, I would probably keep them in the back. And that's really what you do with Tau.
Yeah, and they are T6, but that is one step higher than a regular crisis battle suit, right? So it is a little bit tougher. But I just like their weapon loadout options. They've got lots of different options. So whether you want to just take some rail rifles and have them target tanks, other things like that, but I think the high yield missile pods are probably my favorite. 2 or 3 of these guys just fully kitted out with those, with the twin linked. Is really good. They are really good. And one thing that I do like about them is they're small and they come in 3 model units. Mm-hmm. And so if you do for the greater good, or if you do stratagem on them, it counts for all 3 of them. Yeah. Which is something that you really can't do with Riptides. Or Hammerhead. When you have multiple models, it counts for that guy. But these you can shoot with all 3, which would be really fantastic. Yeah. And you get those benefits from those. So, and they themselves actually have the ability to take a war gear option of a marker drone. And so if they're not currently in use, or if you want to give someone else that ability, you can just use them as well to benefit from that for the greater good. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, so we got these guys at A tier. Yeah, I think they're good. I think they're circumstantial. You obviously wouldn't want to spam like three-man groups of these guys. I think there's other places you can spend your points more efficiently. Yeah, but 2, I feel, would be really good. 2 or just like a unit of 3, I think can be useful. Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah. So A tiers were those guys. All right. Now we've got the Cadre Fireblade. I see this guy a lot, actually. I see him in a lot of lists. I see a lot of people play him. You should, because he's good. Yeah, he's pretty good. Yeah. One thing is, for me, the Breachers are cheap.
They actually are pretty cheap.
Yeah.
And so if you're going to put a Cadre Fireblade in there, you're going to be spending 50% of the point cost of a Breacher team just to add a Cadre Fireblade. And so the only thing that's coming to my mind is why not just get another Breacher team?
Yeah.
But buffing a unit so that you can actually get those benefits and actually start stacking benefits is huge. One of his is the ability to, volley fire? Yeah.
Yes, volley fire. So good. While this model is leading a unit, add 1 to the attack characteristic of ranged weapons equipped by models in that unit. So suddenly that Breacher team, who's already really good at shooting, gets 1 attack characteristic out on there. Just way more shots.
Yeah.
Sometimes, depending on what you're shooting at, Justin knows, I always say this a lot, sometimes quantity is better than quality. But if you can have both, great.
Yeah. Shoot with Breachers and have 3 shots per model.
Have 3 shots per model.
That's great.
I think I see this in a lot of lists because I think it's very strong.
Yeah, I like it. We've got this guy that is Commander Fireblade. Cadre Fireblade, yeah. Did we say broadside and then S tier?
S tier.
Yeah, because you're just gonna have him in your army. Like, stick him with a Breacher team. It'll be worth the points, and you can stack enhancements.
Yep.
Which is awesome.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed. So good. He has this cute little crack shot thing, that's just kind of
Cadre can't stack enhancements, but I mean that's named character. Sorry.
You're right.
But that's good just by his ability is good by itself.
Yes. All right. The commander, the myth, the legend, Commander Farsight.
He's a good guy.
New model, by the way. The new model is beautiful. I think it's an awesome sculpt. He's got the blade out. And
I like his jetpacks.
Yeah. Super cool looking. Also, really good.
Also really good. Yeah.
Really good.
Man, one of the biggest downside, is you can't take ethereals with them.
True.
Yeah. Look into the lore. That's it's good lore. But Firesight does not play well with ethereals. And so big decrease in his it's a huge downside, but his buff and his abilities are probably some of the best when it comes to leaders.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. And most of the time, he's always going to be attached to Crisis Battlesuits, helping them out.
Right.
Yeah. Just a huge buff to an already really good unit. We're going to talk about those guys in a minute.
We are. They're great. One thing that I think for Commander Farsight is I said before, don't stick a melee with a ranged unit. Mm-hmm. This guy, you can actually do it because his buffs actually make close range shooting for the Crisis Battlesuits not only viable, but really good against anything with high toughness. Is one of my favorite ones.
It's and that's the thing, right? Crisis Battlesuits are going to be jumping around the board, shooting different targets, but occasionally they need to charge onto a target, right?
Yeah.
Charge on, hold an objective, hold that for a turn, whatever, score those secondary points. And I think having him attached can help you maybe finish that last model off or something that you need to take no prisoners or whatever secondary you're trying to achieve.
So his
super utility.
His ability, Way of the Short Blade, says that while this model is leading a unit, each time a model in that unit makes an attack that targets an enemy unit within 9 inches, add 1 to the wound roll. And as far as I know, that works for both ranged and melee, which is huge. And so
just says an attack.
An attack. So these guys, as long as you can get your Crisis Battlesuits, which, let's be honest, with their movement, you can get them within 9 inches. In there, doing add 1 to the wound roll, and just him himself, being able to add 1 to his wound roll as well, and kind of finish that up with his attacks, which his attacks are really good.
Yes.
Yeah, he's got really good melee attacks.
So we're definitely putting him in S tier.
Yep.
I think he's super good.
Yeah, good and clutch.
Yes.
Commander in S tier. You already said it.
Yeah.
Commander in Cold Star Battlesuit.
Okay.
This is
like the Cold Star.
I really like the Cold Star. I would say that any Crisis Battlesuit, number 1 priority is putting a Cold Star Battlesuit on that Crisis Battlesuit unit. Put a Cold Star on a Crisis. Yeah, I said that right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just because Like I said, the Crisis Battlesuit has good movement.
Does.
It does, but sometimes, especially since now the Crisis Battlesuits are vehicles, they have a hard time getting around. It is possible. If you can have these guys add not only an additional, 2 inches onto their movement, but also assault weapons for all ranged weapons, that's like 8 total because, and the assault is huge for Crisis Battlesuits because they already get an auto 6-inch advance.
Yeah. And once again, right, that's what you're trying to do with these Crisis Battlesuits, right? They're jumping in, shooting stuff up usually, but then after that, for the rest of the game, you're using them utility to get to areas, finish off targets, get on objectives. So advancing and movement is super, super important. It's one of the most important things for Tau, I think, is they do have really good movement, or strats or things that help them get around the board. Yeah. And a Cold Star attached to a Crisis Battlesuit is just super good.
Yeah, I like it for the, they also get better shooting than a regular Crisis Battlesuit too. And so not only, for me, I like putting them with a 6-man.
Yeah.
Or even if you put them with a 3-man, that turns a 3-man into
work with a 3-man too.
That's practically 4 Crisis Battlesuits for, and a leader on top of that. And he can take the enhancements. And so if you want them to take the enhancement that lets them do for the greater good boost of doing sustained hits 2 on turn 2, now your 4-model Crisis Battlesuit unit is starting on turn 2 for those sustained hits 2. That's huge. Yeah. So S tier, definitely S tier.
Yeah. I think I'd like to see, at least a 3-man or a 6-man unit with a Cold Star and with Farsight. I think 2 units with those 2 utility units are just super, super strong. Yeah,
you're going to take a Crisis Battlesuit unit. Might as well take 2 or 3.
Many as you can.
Yeah, I just wish they were cheaper. I'm kidding. They're
Cold Star. We're putting him in S tier.
S tier, yeah.
S tier. He's super, super good.
Okay.
All right, let's talk about the other commanders while we're on it. We're going to go with the commander in Crisis Battlesuit.
This one is pretty good. However, the ability that it gives the Crisis Battlesuit unit is not the best, only because you have so many other parts of the army that can give you the same buff.
We're going to get into detail with some of these models a little bit more. Commander Shadowsun, for example.
Yeah.
But Tetris. We're going to talk about Tetris. Because they're just amazing. So they're good. They're okay for what they do. The rerolling once it's always a good ability.
It lets you stack an enhancement on it.
But that's the other key, right? This is a not named character.
Right.
So if you really had to get an enhancement in there and attach it for a specific reason, like you could.
Right.
But I feel like he's just another Crisis Battlesuit if you want one.
Yeah, so despite it being a phenomenal model, you wouldn't take it to your army because there's so many better options. So we're going to rate it at a B tier because you want to take something better. Yeah.
Very true. All right, and then there's another commander that's not a named character, which is the Enforcer Battlesuit.
Yeah, with the Enforcer Battlesuit, this guy's pretty good. Mm-hmm. I really like him. I think he's better than the Crisis just because his ability is rather unique. It is, while this model, the Enforcer Commander ability, while this model is leading a unit, each time a ranged attack targets that unit, worsen the armor penetration characteristic of that attack by 1. Oh man, I like it, and I feel like this stacks well if you're playing against a character, against an army that attempts to take you out in range. And doesn't have the ability to ignore cover, because then they're 2-up save. I mean, I believe the Crisis Battlesuits have a 3-up save, and so that their 3-up save, you're going to try to AP your way out of that 3-up save, but you just can't escape it at that point. And so you can really drop down incoming damage by a lot with that ability.
Yeah, it's a useful ability. Once again, probably not the best commander. Not the best abilities you can attach to a unit. But, you can't stack your +1 to your armor saves. But if you can minus someone's AP that's coming in, that's a different step, right? So you can minus someone's armor penetration and then still have cover. So if you're stacking these things, you can get some survivability out of some units. But
Yeah.
once again, it's like, which is better? And Enforcer's probably not as good as Cold Star and Commander Farsight, for sure.
So we're going to put it at A tier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we like it better than the
We like it better than just the Crisis Battlesuit.
Crisis Battlesuit.
But I mean, it's not as good as the other Cold Star Battlesuit's awesome. If you have an
Cold
option,
Star
go for
and
Cold Star.
Farsight.
Yeah.
Superior.
Okay.
Commander Shadowsun. Once again, I do see Commander Shadowsun quite a bit. I think she is a favorite model of a lot of people. I think that's
so. Yeah.
But I don't know.
She is I feel like the reason why you see her a lot is because she's the supreme commander. If this model is in your army, it must be your warlord. Mm-hmm. So she's the number one. She's the big. She's the
top general, man.
Top general. And so throw her in your army. She's got a lot of good abilities. However, I personally think that for 100 points, there's a lot of redundancy with Commander Shadowsun. She's got good attacks. She does.
And a lot of them.
But the rerolling ones, like we said, it's some things give you rerolling ones, and honestly, when it comes to Tau, having a 4-up ballistic skill pretty much across the board, rolling ones is important. Rerolling all hit rolls is important. Adding your a +1, getting those heavy weapons is important. You know, get those hit rolls out there as in any way you can. So it's really good to have Commander Shadowsun being able to reroll those ones.
Yes. The biggest ticket with her, though, is I think you have to, if you're going to play her for the 100 points, as opposed to some of these other valuable characters, I think you have to plan your army around her. And what I mean by that is she does give rerolls of ones, and she does give a reroll in an aura around her of 6 inches, right? So you can target multiple units with this. But you need to plan your army with that and have these units be moving around with her to do that job, right? If she's just sitting in one place and she's only giving her buff to 1 unit or 2 units, it's probably not as effective as if she's infiltrating and jumping up there with 3 breacher teams or something, or she's giving rerolls for all of these if you can't target them with tetras or other things.
Yeah, and that's counterable, An enemy can see that and kind of expect that, and then just be like, well, all right, I'm going to attack not her because she's got the lone operative, but everything around her, Yeah.
So useful. I think she's pretty useful. I do like the fact that she does have quite a lot of guns. I've played a few games against her, and sometimes she just has that little bit of a punch with all of her guns to be able to finish off something that's got a few wounds left, and I think it can be useful.
Yeah, so we put her at A tier.
A tier.
A tier, because honestly, I would love to see a 10 or 20 point drop in her points cost.
Oh, she'd be so good.
I'd pay. Yeah, that's put her in every army. Yeah.
All right, let's talk about it. This is the meat of any Tau army, right? If you're not playing Crisis Battlesuits, are you playing Tau?
All I can see now is Crisis Battlesuit. Yeah, I got television now.
They're good. They've always been good, right? They're just the meat of the army.
They're great. They've got everything. What they don't have though is you don't stick them in the back end. You don't stick these guys in your deployment zone and fire, because the only thing that you would be able to fire with is, I don't know, a missile pod maybe, 30-inch range. That's their max.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything else is
12, 18, 24 maybe. Yeah. You stick these guys in the front line.
Front line, or 90% of the time these guys are in deep strike, right?
Or deep strike.
They come in exactly when you need them to. The enemies have moved out from their cover after turn 1. It's turn 2. It's time for you to shoot up the targets that you need to get rid of or take objectives.
Yeah, I feel like they are reliably able to kill what you want them to kill. And if you can plan, if you know how much damage they're going to be doing, you know how big of a Crisis Battlesuit unit you need in your army. You know what you're going to be going up against. This is where the Tau strategy comes into play. You got to know what you're going to be attacking. You got to know when, and you got to be patient, because you pair these guys up. Yeah, you pair these guys up with the sustained hits too, and you really can kill anything with a Crisis Battlesuit unit. Specialize into the weapon loadout. Do we have time?
Yeah. Let's talk about it. What weapons do you like best for the crisis battle suits?
Yeah.
I mean, this is the most important unit, I think, in a Tau army. All right, so let's talk about it. Break it down.
Let's go over in order. We got the Airburst Fragmentation Projector. This one is indirect fire, and one of the worst things about indirect fire weapons is if you want to use the indirect fire option, you don't get for the greater good. Which means that not only are you going with the 4-up ballistic skill, you're also taking that -1 to hit. And there's nothing you can do about it. And so you're only hitting on 5-ups, and that cripples the Airburst Fragmentation Projector. It's good in a pinch if you want to use it, and it has blast. It's D6 attacks. It's got the quantity. It's got the blast keyword. But it just... I would replace it, honestly.
Yeah. I don't like it. Strength 3, 0 AP, indirect fire.
Unless you really got strength 3 is just like, what are you attacking with this thing?
Yeah, I feel like if you're gonna try to do that with the D6 shots and stuff, you might as well have burst cannons.
Yeah,
they just seem better to me.
So going into burst cannons then.
Yeah.
I like these guys with they got the conventional range, 18 inches. One of my favorite things about the burst cannon is if you know that you're going to be attacking something small, and you're planning on attacking something small with these, then you can use these guys as 4 attacks. Very, very, what is the word? It's something you like. It's like, you know, it's going to be 4. It's not a D6 attack profile. It's 4 attacks.
Right?
Consistency.
Reliable, right? Yeah.
Burst cannons, reliable amount of the amount of attacks that you're going to be making. And so also, also a reliable amount of hits. And then once you get to the wound rolls, 5 strength. That's kind of the sweet spot when it, like now with the 10th edition, a lot of stuff is 4 or 5. And so you know kind of what you're going to be going up against. You know what this is going to be doing. If you want something reliable, burst cannon's your guy. But if you are up for something not as, do you have anything else to say about burst cannons before?
No, I think burst cannons are nice, but they're just a lot of shots, right? The 0 AP, 1 damage.
Yeah.
It's fun sometimes to have one unit maybe of these crisis battle suits with the burst cannon loadout, and they're just kind of like your horde, right? You're planning to take out a horde threat or a large infantry unit, and you can sink those burst cannons into that. But otherwise,
let's be honest. Let's be honest though. Like, how many armies actually are built around like 5-up save, 1 damage? Like, not many are like actually dedicated to that.
Yeah, there's a few,
it's not the meta.
Few out there.
Yeah.
Imperial Guard, stuff like that. Unending Swarm. But it's a nice matchup, but it's not the average that you're going to be facing, right?
No.
You want that Space Marine equivalent, that toughness 4, 2 wounds, possibly 3 wounds on an infantry.
Which let's get into cyclic ion blasters when it comes to countering the meta. With it's got a hazardous ability, but
it does.
It does.
But I think it's worth it, right?
The hazardous is worth it, and I think the reason why it's worth it is only worth it if you need it to be worth it, right?
Yeah.
Like, you have the choice, and I think that's huge. Oh man, every single time I hear like, oh yeah, you can change in the middle of the game what you're going to be doing. Like,
flexibility. Right?
Flexibility means something, and not only is that huge here, but this flexibility is, oh yeah, just increase everything.
Go to strength 8, extra AB, go to flat 2 damage. The flat 2 damage is just so nice.
So you're doubling the damage. You're increasing from 7 to 8, which if you're going up against strength toughness for T4 units,
wounding on 2s.
Wounding on 2s. That's a huge buff. And then -2 AP. If this guy's got like a 3-up save and you're adding an extra AP against that, you're just adding so much more potential damage. You don't have to overcharge every single one of their cyclic ion blasters, just enough that you are confident that you will be able to kill that unit. You know?
Yeah. It's good.
It's good.
Fusion blaster.
It's
Meltas.
I do love Melta.
Meltas are good. Especially, we just found out that certain armies have strats that lets you change the damage characteristic of an attack down to 0. John, Thousand Suns player that we play a lot. We see it a lot on the stream. We get through with our big attack, D6 damage. We roll really high damage, and he uses Cabal points and turns it into a 0, right? We're like,
The Ghost has it, actually. In Tau. It's got 2 of those.
Very true.
Yeah, so...
so it comes up a lot. Certain armies have that ability, right? But with the Melta, depending on what type of Melta is, Melta 2, for example, on this Fusion Blaster, it's that damage characteristic plus 2. So Meltas are really nice for that because you can at least do 2 damage.
Yeah.
If someone spends CP or strat for that.
After changing that, changing that D6 to 0, it's still 0 plus 2.
0 plus 2.
Yeah.
So Meltas have value. I think they're good.
So, and then having these guys be close range, Fusion Blaster 12-inch, you need to be within 6 inches, which a lot of times can be scary because you're getting right up in there. But that's what Crisis Battlesuits do.
Yep. You're deep striking. You're getting close. That's what they're for.
Yeah, they really are. And so I like the Fusion Blaster. Missile Pod, 30-inch. I feel like these are kind of in between. They're larger range. And so if you wanted to use your Crisis Battlesuits as more of a, I'm 30 inches away or 25 inches away and firing on you, you can do that. I wouldn't personally recommend it.
I don't think it's the best weapon for them. I think if you're going to go this route, you might as well get broadsides.
Yeah.
They're higher toughness. They're going to be farther away. And I think their missile pods are better. More shots and whatnot.
But it depends on what you're doing. Yeah. Honestly, that's the best thing about Crisis is that you can take any of these based on what strategy you're going to be using. So
plasma rifle, love it.
I do too.
I love flat 3 damage.
I like it.
Useful. Good AP.
I feel like there are other things in the army that do this specific attack better than Crisis. Mm-hmm. And so I think that taking these isn't as good as taking some other option. Mm-hmm. Like, just don't spec into 3 plasma rifles, I wouldn't say, just because take the Riptide. Yeah. It also does flat 3 weapon. It also does has a flat 3 damage weapon, which is great.
Flamer, I don't know. I don't see these a lot.
It's got Torrent.
You can have a lot of attacks, but once again, it's kind of super specialized for horde control, which I think...
Yeah, this is another ignores cover weapon, which I feel like they overrated in Tau. And I hope Gamers Workshop is hearing me. Yeah. Ignores cover is great, guys, but honestly, tell me why with Tau. With a 5-up, I guess this is ignores cover without the ballistic skill drop. And so that is actually making Tau Flamers a little bit better in my mind. But it really depends on your strategy.
Yeah.
Take Flamers if that's your strategy, Good overwatching.
But we're going to throw these units into the S tier. Crisis Battlesuits going up to the top.
Love it.
They're amazing. Their loadouts, their enhancements, weapon options. It's all really good.
Yeah. Okay, moving on. Sorry. I do really love Crisis Battlesuits. I'm glad that we spent that time talking about the loadout. I think we need to
spend the time on them because they're just such high value.
They're both the meat and the potatoes of the Tau army.
Yes, very true. All right, Dark Strider. What do we think of Dark Strider?
I like them. I like them because it goes with Pathfinders. I feel like Pathfinders are okay.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that they have an issue with. Again, it's, are you willing to have a unit that, I guess, talking a little bit about the Pathfinder unit.
Yeah.
Are you willing to have a unit that is pretty much dedicated to, I don't want to use specifically for the greater good I don't want to have any units besides this one being docked on my hitting. And that's what Pathfinders are good for.
Yeah. He can only attach to Pathfinders, right? Yes.
Yeah.
And Pathfinders also have that ability where they can spot for be an observer unit for 2 different units, which I think is kind of useful.
Right.
But I don't think you're going to spam Pathfinders. But I think if you are going to take a Pathfinder team, this is a very valuable asset to add to it.
Yeah, and it takes that, they're not going to have a buff necessarily to their attacks, but they will be able to get that add 1 to the wound roll. While this model's the main unit, each time a model in that unit makes a range attack, add 1 to the wound roll. And so they're not left completely out of luck. They do have a little bit of they do have that ranged buff
Yeah,
themselves.
for
So,
sure. Um,
and actually, that second one is huge. Enemy units that are set up on the battlefield from reserves cannot be set up within 12 inches of this model. This one's big because now that Pathfinder unit, where they would want to take that guy out to cripple you, because you've been using it for the greater good strats, they can't set up in Deep Strike and then take you out with a charge, which if they're playing a lot of melee in their army, is huge. You know, you can really protect those Pathfinders.
Yeah, protecting from deep strikes in your backline is a thing. And this guy in certain games can be really good. I've played against players who don't care at all. They're just like charge forward, move around. They leave spaces all over for people to deep strike in. But if you're really good at screening out, you can deny a lot of secondaries. I think this whole 12-inch aura blocks out a lot of guys. It can be super, super clutch.
Yeah. Yeah, that's big. You'd be surprised at how big of an area a 3-inch increase in radius gets you.
You can screen out a good whole corner of the table. Yeah. Pretty good.
Devilfish. Did we rate Darkstrider?
Oh, did we rate him?
Okay, Darkstrider.
Darkstrider. We're gonna put him at
A
tier.
We like him.
We like him. We think he's good. He's circumstantial, but he's good.
Yeah. If you're gonna have a Pathfinder team, give him Darkstrider.
Yeah.
Give him that extra ability. Devilfish. I'm just gonna give the rating, just because like they're transport, they're cheap.
So cheap.
They're so cheap.
So cheap.
Yeah. 13 wounds, 3 up save is pretty good. T9. I mean, it's a vehicle.
It's good.
S tier for the Devilfish, just because like throw them in your army. Like the Breacher Fish combo is just so nice.
It really is.
Yeah.
So the combo, right, with the Devilfish is that you can advance and then still disembark your unit. So mobility, you can get all the way across the board with these guys and just put them wherever you want. Super amazing.
Yeah. Oh, honestly, that's like, what is it? Investigate signals is the one where you have to be 3 inches within a corner, or is that different?
Investigate signals. Yep. You've got to be 9 inches from every single corner.
I get the one messed up where it's 9 inches inside of a corner or not. But for either one, when you need to be somewhere within a range, being able to move a huge, like 12-inch movement, advance, drop off a unit, that gives you so much range to get somewhere. Whether it's to attack, whether it's to be inside of a corner location, whether it's
inside someone's deployment zone,
anything. Like,
just on all fronts, different table quarters.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
So awesome. S tier. Devilfish are awesome.
Breacher Fish.
Breacher Fish are awesome.
Even better.
Yeah. Breacher Fish, super good. Worth the points. Ethereal. Ethereals are good.
Ethereals are good.
I like them. I like them mostly because I feel like a lot of time people do the same thing that you like, the consistency, where they're saying to themselves, I know exactly what kills a breacher unit, and it's this much damage. And they've got all the stats, and they're going to kill it with this much damage. And then that's what they do. And then your unit has an ethereal, and you say, well, actually, I've got Feel No Pains.
I think field pains are nice. I feel like Tau, especially when I play Tau, I feel like they're always very CP hungry. I feel like you always want to be strike and fading, which is a 2-point strat. It's expensive, but it's good. You can shoot something from deep strike and then strike and fade to then take that objective that you weren't holding before. But I don't know. I just feel like that.
I feel like
I'm always spending CP with Tau. Or I always want to spend CP. So having Ethereal in there that can give you, 2 CP per your round.
If you're not spending CP in a Tau army, it's a strategy army.
Yeah.
Right? That's what it's for. So you use the stratagems. And so you do need the CP. But man, you can't take Farsight. Him being an ethereal, not being able to take Farsight. I do like Farsight, maybe a little too much sometimes. His buffs are really great. Him being on the field and giving you CP. He is a little bit more expensive than I feel. Actually, no, not for the CP strat. He's pretty cheap just for an extra CP.
I think he's pretty cheap.
This is not
that consistent.
However, this is now that I think about it, Yeah, this is not one of those units, however, that you would just throw in. Yeah, unlike Cadre Fireblade, who does not have the ethereal ability, you can't just include them just because. Yeah, you would have to either decide Farsight or ethereals. And in my case, I feel like you would go with Farsight.
Yeah,
so,
I agree.
Yeah. And so I'm just going to say A tier for ethereals.
It's pretty solid. Can work in any army build. But if you are planning on Commander Farsight, you're definitely going to go with Farsight over the ethereal.
Yeah, ethereal's good, but I feel like there's a lot of strategies that you can decide on either way.
Speaking of Farsight, what about the Farsight team?
Firesight team.
Oh, sorry, Firesight team.
Yeah, Firesight team. Oh, again, man. So I feel like every single time a model, I'm just, what I did what?
You said that, then I corrected you, and now I said Farsight team.
I feel like every single model that comes up, I'm going to be like, it depends on your strategy.
That's right.
It does.
Yeah.
Like if you want a Firesight team, you're going to be having a long shot pulse rifles, 3 attacks, 2 damage each, -1 AP. It's precision heavy, and with the infiltrator and lone operative, it's going to be hard to take this guy off the board. He's just going to be shooting your leaders. You're going to try to shoot back. You're not going to be able to. That's what they're good for, is just, I want to take out your key players. If they don't have key players, you're out of luck.
Yeah, I feel like it's okay. I feel like it's good. The precision is nice, but I don't know. Point-wise, I think, once again, this is one of those units that just, there's a better option out there.
There's a better option. If they had a boost for their greater good ability, because they do have the marker-like keyword, that would make them so much more feasible in a list. However, they cost 70 points, and I feel like that's not enough just to have something that is just kind of parked in the middle and nowhere. Most of the time, it's probably doing very little. I don't know. We rated these guys C, but now that I'm actually looking at this, I'm thinking B, just because I've actually come up with stratagems while talking about him in my head that he would be useful for.
I'm still thinking C too.
You're still thinking C?
I think there's just, for that 70 points. I mean, that's a devilfish.
It's the lone operative that gets me. I don't know.
No, I don't.
All right. C.
C tier, C to B. We can put him in the middle there. But yeah, somewhere in that.
I do kind of like, it's just because I'm like, oh wait, no, you can do this with them. He's kind of a useful tool. Infiltrator lone operatives kind of just are useful tools in that way, that they're still capable of doing things. So yeah, B to C middle, if that's something. I don't know. All right, we'll move on.
Stick him C tier. He's fine.
All right, Ghost Kill.
Ghost Kill Battlesuit. You love the Ghost Kill Battlesuit.
I love the Ghost Kill Battlesuit.
Or do
I do. I actually, when I was looking at it, I just said it. I literally just said it just now. Infiltrator lone operatives are awesome. This one does not have the marker-like keyword, so it's not as useful. But it's useful in so many other ways. One of the biggest ways is it's an infiltrator lone operative that just doesn't die. It is a beefy lone operative.
I think he's a little tough. He's got T8, he's got a 2-up save, 12 wounds. But biggest downside is he doesn't really have an invul. Right?
Doesn't have an invul. I feel like, and this is kind of the reason why I like him anyways, is because if you're going to be attacking him with like a -4 AP, it means that -4 AP at ranged attack needs to come up to you. And so you need to be like right up in his face. And that kind of puts them at your mercy a lot of time, especially with those Breacher Fish combos or the Crisis Battle Suits. They've got to come to you, and then you can completely destroy them. But it is true, this guy is susceptible to just being attacked with 4 AP or 5 AP weapon.
Yeah, and if you're not careful with him, like he does have Infiltrator, so it's tempting just to like throw him super out there before the game starts. But if you're not careful,
they'll just rush him.
You can lose your ghost kills pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Uh,
I feel like the better abilities are if you're playing a certain map, and I feel like this is where it comes to strategy. If you're playing a map where it's long and you need to be off in the corners and still be able to shoot into the center, you can do that with Ghost Keel. Not only that, but if they send a few guys out there to like take care of them or whatever, he can tank it. He can take it and take them out, before they're able to do much. And so
I like it to be,
but it's situational.
it is situational. All of these things are depends on what mission you're playing, depends on what part of you in the game you're at, what you need to do to win.
Yeah.
To get those points.
I like him for my strategies.
I like to be a little defensive with it, where sometimes I'll infiltrate, especially on those missions where you can only, it's like you're in a corner of your deployment, right? With the little half circle in the center.
Oh, yeah.
So that you have a whole side of the board that you're not in, right? But that's still far away from your opponent. I like to infiltrate him on an objective over there, still far away from an enemy. And then later on, he can pop out from cover or from a building, behind a building, and still be useful and do things.
Yeah.
But yes, be careful. Be careful with your infiltration on this guy.
Yeah.
I think 1 per army is good, useful tool.
1 per army, definitely. You wouldn't take, I don't think, unless you got something up your sleeve, just one.
I would not be spamming these guys.
There's a lot of lone operative infiltrator combos that you can do. And so if you're taking them for the infiltrator lone operative, try someone else. But if you put one of these guys, he's one that's going to stick around. So he's going to be, we got him as a B tier.
A B tier. I think solid B.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Next we got Hammerhead Gunship.
Hammerhead.
Now this one, I feel like
mighty have fallen.
We just talked about Ghost Keel, about being able to completely turn off damage. And here we have Hammerhead, which with their ability is each time this model is selected to shoot, you can reroll 1 hit roll and you can reroll 1 wound roll when resolving those attacks. He's got a multi-attack weapon, but honestly, that ability is best suited for the railgun because it's 1 attack. If you miss it, try again. 20 wound. If you miss it, try again. It's a reliable, I'm going to hit you with a -5 AP, D6 plus 6 damage weapon. It can be phenomenal. But there's a lot of stuff out there like the Ghost Keel where they just say, I'm not even going to make a save. I just don't take it.
Yeah.
Just turn off that damage. I'm just not going to take that D6 plus 6. Thousand Suns can do it. I know that Eldari or just Eldar.
Eldari and Sisters have their dice, right, where they can select a save. Or like, I want this save to be a 6.
And it can be sad. Even with the devastating wounds of the railgun, you can't rely on the devastating wounds enough to say that this is going to be something that goes through every time. Yeah. And so
it's nice, but it's not a consistent thing. I can't rely on getting devastating wounds every single time I shoot with this 1-shot weapon.
Right.
Right.
It also has some indirect fire weapon if you want to take indirect fire, but my opinion of indirect fire with a 4 up a ballistic skill. And then, I don't know, seeker missiles are great.
Yeah.
Especially with the 48-inch range, you can kind of just throw those guys out there at the beginning of the round, maybe do some damage, kill a couple of units before they're able to get out there. But it's not as good as it can be situationally, depending on who you're battling. If you're battling someone who doesn't have a lot of invulns or who can't just save things randomly, great. Target those units, battle that army. But you can't go 5-0.
Yeah.
With using your army.
Hammerheads I think, unfortunately, just aren't as good as they used to be. We're going to put these guys in the B tier.
Yeah.
I mean, it's okay maybe to have 1 to target a specific thing. But if you're facing a ton of 4-up invulns or an army that can make that save against your 1-shot weapon, it makes you sad.
It's just really sad. It's almost demoralizing. It's not worth it just for the feeling that you get.
I want to shoot my big gun.
Oh man, every time.
It doesn't. And it's not. Yeah. Inconsistency. Right. You can't rely on it. So because of that, we're gonna go ahead and stick it in the B tier.
Okay. Going into the Kroot now. Kroot carnivores.
Kroot.
Of all the Kroot carnivores are probably the best, just because when it comes to Kroot, it's this is cheap and I can throw it out and scout.
Yes, exactly.
That's what it's for.
Yep.
I'm going to throw these guys up there, take objectives early, and then kind of just hope for the best. And the best is not going to happen. The best being they're not going to die, because they are going to die.
Yeah.
Almost every time. They've got a 6-up save. Which is great. I mean, it's great. They're going to die. So a lot of these Kroot we got rated pretty low, so we're just going to blast through these. Kroot carnivores. Kroot carnivores we put at B tier.
Yep.
They are cheap and they are fodder.
You know, they do have a role in the army, right? I do also think that these have value if you are facing world eaters or tyrannids or orcs or somebody who wants to just charge their entire army up into your face and ruin your day, right?
Yeah.
So,
and they can do some damage. I mean, rapid fire 1, and the fact that they can actually maybe save themselves if they kill a unit, getting a 5-up feel no pain, 4-up feel no pain if you're, sticking a leader on them.
Yeah. But I think they're there for the screen blocking, right? You're going to put them in front of something so they can't directly charge into your value targets. And they're a trade unit. They're cheap, so you want to throw them out there on an objective, maybe tempt someone to say, haha, come take these guys. That way I can shoot you with all of my wonderful guns later. They're a trade unit for that reason. They've got that role in the army.
We got Farstalkers next.
Yeah, Farstalkers.
Farstalkers. We got Farstalkers rated C.
Yeah.
Because, they come with a lot. If you want to get it, they come with 1 Kill Broker, 9 Farstalkers, and then 2 Hounds. So they do have some charge potential if you want to charge them up there. They got a lot of options.
Yeah.
They got a lot of weapons. But none of them really do it for me. I don't know.
Yeah, kind of same here. It's unfortunately you're comparing these to breachers. It's just like, why would I?
Yeah, so C tier.
So C tier. I think the Crew Hounds is going to be the next unit that we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
They're so cheap.
They're so fast.
And fast.
They're so fast.
So
you can charge them up there. They might not die from the retaliation melee, but even better is you just charge them up there and you don't enter melee. Yeah. You put them up, you just line them up in front of your enemy, and straight up, these guys, what are they? 9-inch scouts with a 12-inch movement.
Yeah.
You can
Kroot Hounds.
Kroot Hounds.
That's what we're talking about.
They're so fast.
I like them too, once again, for that. I don't know. I always feel like the Kion, right? You want to be surviving to the later end of the game. Tau, I feel like, can score really good from round 3 onward because they're getting all the sustained hits and stuff like that. So you want to be touching objectives, but you don't want all of your wonderful battle suits out there in the open for people to kill. So I do like Crew Hounds because they're just so cheap. So you run them up there, touch an objective once again.
Or honestly, just box out your enemy.
Yeah, box out an enemy.
So they can't retaliate as quickly.
Touch an objective while you're doing that. If you lose them, great. It's 30 points, right?
Yeah.
Not a big deal.
Yeah, for a lot of times with Tau, I feel like it is last till 3rd round.
Yeah.
So these are just, Kroots are a strategy to do that. Last till 3rd round. Tie them up in turn 1, maybe have them kill Kroot on turn 2, and then just strike back with force on turn 3. So
we put B tier for these guys?
B tier for Hounds,
B tier for Hounds.
And sorry, we said we're going to rush through these.
Yeah, we did.
The Shaper. This is something that you put on the Carnivore. It itself can do a little bit of damage if you want the Carnivore to do a little bit more damage. But honestly, I would rather have the Carnivores be by themselves.
Yeah, I agree.
So Shaper, we put as C tier. The Kroot Shaper and
the Kroot Hawks Rider.
Yeah,
both. I think they're both going to be in the C tier.
Yeah.
I just don't think they're appealing enough for the other options that you have in the Codex.
Seriously, I like the Rider, but it seems as if it kind of surprised me. It looks like a unit that you would want in range, but they're actually better in melee, and so they're not fast enough for that. They have Scout 7-inch and 7-inch movement, but which is faster than a Tower unit, but it's not. It's just not fast enough to be a melee unit. Mm-hmm. So C for Kroot Hawks Riders.
For the Kroot Hawks Riders as well.
Yeah.
Long Strike, one of my past favorite characters. I really liked him.
Longstrike is pretty good. When it comes to hammerheads, he's better than a hammerhead.
Yeah.
Doesn't cost too much more than a hammerhead.
So if you are going to go specialized and you want to try out the hammerhead, I highly suggest just trying out a Long Strike, right?
Yeah, might as well, right?
It's just slightly better. It's worth it for the slightly more points.
So the amount of damage and the boosts that he gives are probably equivalent. So we put him as Long Strike as B tier.
Oh, no, that's not Long Strike.
Just, yeah, Long Strike.
Might
It's
be
just
Commander Long Strike.
Commander Long Strike.
But
B tier, just because, for points and for his capacity to, make those shots, those long range shots across the field with the high damage weapon. It's good. It can be countered,
yeah,
but it's good to have sometimes.
Yeah.
So, especially with that strength 20 weapon, it's great. You can't really take out toughness 11s and 20s as reliably, but you still get a reroll. So if it happens, re-roll it, get that hit out, do some damage.
And like we talked about, a little circumstantial. It depends on what you're shooting at. If you're shooting at Carnifexes, which are those 2-up save models but no invulns, great. If you have those models and those targets to shoot at, hammerheads and long strikes, man, shoot at those all day long.
Yeah, yeah, seriously.
Yeah.
Ignore cover.
Ignore cover.
Shoot with a marker light.
You're going to be killing a Carnifex or something like equivalent every time you shoot with it. Which is
beautiful.
Yeah.
So
we put them in Commander Long Strike in
B tier.
B tier.
Yeah. Next, we're going to go with Pathfinder team. I do like the Pathfinders.
Yeah.
I do like them, but that doesn't mean that I would take them in a list. I feel like there's a lot of stuff that you can get buffs for, and with the marker like keyword. We've already mentioned the Tetras.
Mm-hmm. Haven't talked about them at length yet. But
haven't talked about it. We mentioned them. There's also the stealth battle suits that let you reroll wounds.
Yeah.
And when it comes to that kind of stuff, there's a lot of stuff that you can shoot with, but they are good in that you don't have to shoot with all of them. You don't have to trade off. You can put a couple, honestly, if you put 2 Pathfinders, you can just have 4 for the greater good guided units and get all those benefits. But that would be a strategy. I like putting more of the buffer units on there though.
I agree.
Yeah.
They only have OC1. They're not the battle line unit, right?
Yeah.
They do have the Scout 7 ability, which I think is nice. But I do like their target upload ability. Picking another unit to be the spotted unit.
It frees up some observers. Some observer slots.
So I think taking one single unit of Pathfinders.
Me personally, I would either just go crazy on them, take 2, and have 4 different slots of guided unit slots, and be able to just have the Pathfinders pretty much do all the job, or none. Okay. I feel like 2 is pretty good, just because it frees up a single 2 guided unit slots.
Yeah.
But yeah, it really depends on what do you plan to do.
Yep. How you build your army.
How do you build your army?
Can be pretty useful. So because of that reason, we
put it in B tier. Yeah.
Put them in the B tier. If you plan around it, can be very useful.
Yeah. Piranhas.
Piranhas. I actually really like piranhas.
I do like their movement, and I like their ability to have movement with scouts. Kind of like I was saying with the crude hounds.
Yeah.
These guys are decently cheap too.
They're decently cheap.
Yeah.
I like the Piranha Fusion Flat Blaster. It's a melt of 4.
I really like the fact that Seeker missiles, having 2 Seeker missiles, especially with this it's 55 points for one of these guys. And so you can buy 2 Seeker missiles for 55 points while also having that movement. You can just scoot your way on up there, shoot your Seeker missiles, and just be like, yo, I'm gonna shoot you first with a crap ton of Seeker missiles.
Yeah.
It's kind of nice.
I do like the option with these guys with their movement too, just to have them for a unit that maybe jumps up turn 1, grab an objective, and they do have toughness 7 wounds. So they're a little tougher than like a Crew Hound or some crude infantry that are just going to get blown off the board with anything that shoots at them.
Yeah, I feel like that's the case most of the time with Tau.
So, if you're not getting rush charge turn one and someone's just trying to shoot at you, I think the Piranha stands a better chance of surviving than some of these other little cheap units.
Yeah.
And it has a couple decent guns with it.
Yeah. So we rated it as A tier just because it has the mobility, it's got the ability, it's got some range, it's cheap.
It's a little tougher.
Yeah. So put 1 or 2 in your army.
Yeah.
Yeah. Next is Razor Shark Strike Fighter. Did we even include it? Just like D.
It's pretty bad.
D.
I think it's a D tier.
Yeah, we didn't even make notes about this thing. All right, well, D tier for Razor Shark Strike Fighter. So let's just talk a little bit, briefly mention aircrafts.
Yeah.
They were kind of...
Aircrafts are in a weird place in 10th edition right now.
Yeah. They're in a weird place. I don't know if they intended it to be in a weird place, but they are. So I need to learn how to use them before I insult them. So maybe you can talk a little bit about them.
Well, looking at it just right now, 0 OC is kind of a weird thing. They can't really hold objectives, right? I don't know.
They can't turn.
Yeah, their whole being able to pivot and move kind of a thing is awkward to deal with.
Your opponent is going to know exactly where this thing is going if you decide to have it move a second time. If you want it to be on the battlefield for more than just one turn, your opponent knows exactly where it's going. Which, for some of these ranged weapons doesn't really matter because you can just kind of put them wherever you want to put them. But at the same time, it's you have to take it off the battlefield if you don't decide to keep it on the battlefield. If you don't decide to keep it there.
Yeah.
And you got to find a place for it. I don't know. It's just...
It can be circumstantially bad, right?
Yeah. At a minimum distance of... Does it have hover? No, it doesn't even have hover. So this guy is minimum 20-inch distance, so your opponent kind of knows where it's going to go. You're so limited. I feel like this is really narrowing your options for just aircrafts in general. So
yeah, most of the aircrafts that we're going to talk about, we didn't rate them very high, just because we feel like those points can be better spent for a lot of different units that have OC, units that can hold objectives, while still having great guns.
Don't get me wrong, being able to actually drop this guy in your opponent's deployment zone can be great, right? But that's it.
But you might as well do that with Crisis battle suits.
Yeah.
So we rated it pretty low. Let's go ahead and move on. Riptide battle suits.
I do like Riptides. Riptides have a good weapon loadout. We talked about the 3 damage weapons. They do a good job. I feel like if you're gonna want to do anything anti 3 wound models, this is probably the way to go because their 3 damage weapons have 72-inch range. Ion Accelerator.
Yeah, these are the guys that you want far away. They're going to be just picking off targets that jump out to hold objectives.
Yeah, a lot of times these guys are actually just the 3 wound models that you're countering with the Riptide are coming to you. They're melee, and so they're trying to come up, take objectives, and you're just sniping them.
Yep. Me and Justin talked about it. I really value certain damage profiles. Flat 3 damage profiles are one of my favorites because when you're targeting Terminators or Tyranid Warriors or those models that are usually toughness 5 with 3 wounds, those can be hard to remove. And it feels bad when you overcharge your Crisis battle suits to a 2 damage and then you're not fully killing a model, right? So that's why you want to have some Riptides in your army.
It's so sad.
With the flat 3 damage profile so that you can move those models because Terminator spam is a thing. Terminators are so good. They are. They're really good.
We're not talking about Space Marines or any of the ones that with Terminators, but put Terminators in your army. Not if you're playing Tau. Don't put Terminators in your army if you're playing Tau, but anything else.
Yeah. So yeah, you have to consider about what you're playing and what you're shooting at.
The natural ability to fall back and shoot.
Yes.
For a Riptide is great. So that if you do need to like shift around to get the perfect shot against those Terminators, you still can. This is an innate ability. You don't need to spend for it.
Yep.
It's not this or that. It's you can do that. So if they like come at you and just throw like a random recruit hound unit at you.
No, it's useful.
Yeah.
Last tournament I went to, I played Tau player, really good Tau player. We had a really good game. I was playing Tyranids, had a lot of flying hive tyrants. 3. Played 3 flying hive tyrants running around, and I kept running into these Riptide battlesuits. And because they can fall back and shoot, it was great. They were just like, nope, I don't want to be here in combat with you anymore. I'm going to fall back and still do everything I want to do and shoot. So I think it's pretty useful.
Yeah, honestly, sometimes I do feel like with the big guns never tire, that -1 to hit can be bad for vehicles in Tau, because that we need to save as much shooting ability as we can in Tau. So
yeah,
keep that, fall back, shoot whatever the heck you want, and just let them charge back in if they want to. You know.
Yep. I do like the Nova charge. I think it's good.
It's good as like it's gravy, you know, like add it on top.
Gravy on top of what you're doing. If you can get those devastating wounds, great.
To me, it's not like because it's once per battle.
Yeah, don't rely on it. Don't build your strategy around it. But I like it. Devastating wounds are always great.
I look at that and I reminisce about 9th edition.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, whoever has played 9th edition, you know what I'm talking about. So
triple Riptide.
I don't know. It's like it's not like anything. It's just
we like it. We like it. We like Riptides.
4 up invulns, 2 up save.
2 up save.
Love it.
Yeah, great.
It's good.
So we put them at
S tier.
S tier. Pretty good.
Yep.
Okay.
Love them.
Next, who do we have next? Skyray Gunship.
Skyray Gunship. Not the best. Not the best.
Yeah.
I feel like this one is a little bit expensive for its capacities.
Yeah, I feel like, I don't know.
It's got Seeker Missile Rack, which is a lot more Seeker Missiles, which is really great. That's probably what it has going for it.
Yeah, I just feel like the rest of the weapons with this vehicle just were kind of underwhelming. Not a lot of shots.
I like Seeker Missiles as a thing that you get in addition to other things.
The gravy that you're talking about, right?
Yeah, the gravy.
The gravy.
This guy's got 10-inch movement. It is a vehicle. It doesn't have any other movement capacity. It does have marker light. I love things with marker light. I do.
Yeah.
But this one is kind of taken up by other things. Like its capacities are taken up by a lot of other stuff. Yeah, so we're gonna rate them C tier.
Yeah, C tier.
Yeah, yes.
I just feel like there's a lot better vehicle choices.
Man, I hate thinking while I'm reading this, but yeah, C tier. There's better vehicle choices, and it really depends on what you do with your army. So
stealth battlesuits. Let's jump into it. Yeah. I love stealth battlesuits. I think they're good.
Yeah, I love them too. Oh my gosh. They go they go well with a lot of strategies that personally I love. Deep Strike is one of the best ones for that. One of the issues with Deep Strike is that you can't move afterwards. And so a lot of the Crisis Battlesuit strategies that you want get within 9 inches, get within 6 inches. With Stealth Battlesuits, you can put them there on the battlefield and still make that move to get within your desired range.
Yeah, with the infiltrator ability, right? Not
with the Crisis Battlesuit's ability to Deep Strike, and the Stealth Battlesuits have this ability. Sorry, I didn't mention this. A War Gear option of Homing Beacon.
Oh, that's right.
Lets you use the Rapid Ingress Stratagem for 0 CP.
Yes.
Meaning that you can drop a Crisis Battlesuit unit on these guys, and then your next turn, because this happens in your opponent's movement phase, that you put these Crisis Battlesuits on. Your next your next movement phase, you can move them right up into your opponent's face and attack. And so I personally think that that is really great because you can still get right up in there, and you on the turn where you do the most damage. You can keep them in reserve. Don't let your opponent attack them on turns 1 or 2 or 1, depending on what enhancements you use, and then just rush them in there on turn 3. And I love that. And I feel like stealth battle suits are really good for that.
I also think they're great. Great infiltrators just to hold an objective. Sometimes a ghost skill can be like a little nerve-wracking because you're like, oh, I'm going to infiltrate, hold the center objective. But once again, depending on what army you're playing against, they might want to just rush you really quickly, and then losing that ghost kill can be a little sad. But stealth battle suits are significantly cheaper. Let me use mine. So if you lose them, you don't feel as bad as losing like a ghost kill or a more high value target.
Yeah.
And then their forward observers is amazing. Each time an observer unit until the end of the phase. Each time a range attack is made by a model and their guided unit targets their spotted, reroll the wound roll of 1. Pretty decent.
Yeah, I really like them. I think that these guys are better than the average spotter. And so I would put more than one unit, honestly, in my army. Yeah. I would rely on these with a strategy, but it depends on what you want to play these as, right? Because I feel like a lot of the weapons don't actually have. There's a lot of twin linked, but there's not enough. So reroll those ones.
Yeah. So we ran stealth battle suits as S tier.
Yeah, I really like them.
I think they're really good. Very useful tools.
Yeah.
Next, we're going to go to the Storm Surge.
Storm Surge.
Big old Storm Surge.
This guy's huge.
He is huge. Huge model.
Huge point cost.
Huge guns. Huge point cost.
Huge point cost.
Huge. It's all huge.
He's got such good abilities. His point cost limits his playability majorly. If you were to play him in your army, everything would be around the Storm Surge, I feel.
Yeah, you want to be protecting him, working in synergies with him.
You don't necessarily have to be always around him. He doesn't give out buffs.
Yeah.
But he does do so much, and he is such a looming presence that if you were to play him, a lot of what you're going to be doing is around your opponent trying to kill him. What is he? It's Titanic, or
it is a Titanic model.
So it's easier to see, depending on what terrain you're going to be playing, and so you really got to watch out and adjust your strategy, adjust everything accordingly. But with those weapon loadouts,
yeah.
Oh man,
pulse cannon, 12 damage, 24 strength.
A
lot of these damage profiles are just super high.
I haven't been playing Warhammer very much, but I think he's the only one with a flat 12 damage.
I think so.
That I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And
good.
It's got heavy and it's got 24 strength. So whatever you're shooting at, I mean, I think knights have 14 toughness.
Some of them, it depends. It depends on what you...
If you're playing anything conventional, I feel like, no offense to knights players, if you're playing anything conventional, your toughness 12 max. And so you're wounding on 2s with a strength 24 weapon. Yeah. And so this pulse blast cannon focused, you're going to be hitting what you're shooting. It's great.
We put the Storm Surge as the A tier. Yeah. It's really good. It can be a super awesome artillery piece to add to the army. It is expensive. If it was cheaper, we would bump it up a tier or whatever. But
for right now, it's got a lot of loadouts. You can do a lot of damage with it. Its ability to just have heavy on everything means that it pretty much, if you park it, it's got 3-up ballistic skill, which is higher than a lot of other Tau units that you're going to be playing. So,
most of these have the heavy keyword on it.
So it's a good shooter, and it's got a lot of shots. Strike Team. We like Strike Team, but we don't like it as much as Breacher Team. I feel like when it comes to a trade-off, there's less, in my mind, availability to Overwatch. Because Tau is such a CP-hungry army, I would say that Overwatching is more of a if it comes up type of CP cost or CP spend.
Yep. So they have the cover fire, which you can Overwatch on a 4-up, which is nice, but once again, I don't think you want to be planning your army around
No.
doing these overwatches.
So it's got a better range than breachers, but with the breacher fish combo, I feel like strike team is almost not as useful as not as useful as the breacher. Getting a breacher unit out there with the vehicle. So we rated the strike team as B.
B tier.
B tier. Great, but yeah, just kind of put them in if you want. Try them. Try them out.
We got another bomber. We got another aircraft.
Sunshark bomber.
Sunshark bomber.
I will say that this aircraft is better than the other one.
It is better.
Which puts it at a D plus.
Yep, we're gonna put it in the D tier.
Yeah, D tier.
Sunshark bombers were a huge thing at the end of 9th edition.
They do mortals.
You do mortals,
which is great. I love mortals. A lot of things are countering mortals. Not as much as should be countering mortals, because mortals are fantastic. Mortals are the meta. But it is still hard to use, unwieldy, unreliable, and aircrafts just generally aren't as playable this edition.
Yep. All right. Tactical drones.
Is there an E? We do have an E.
We do have an E tier.
Oh, we got an E tier.
We
Actually, we have an F tier.
do have an F tier.
Should we put it in the F tier? Okay, so normally these only go to D. We're actually going to put the tactical drones in the G. Nah, just F. Okay. I got word that we can only go to F. So I'm actually starting to get angry talking about them. Can we move on? What were you thinking?
Yeah, they don't do much.
What, like...
The biggest thing is they just have 0 OC, right? They can't even hold an objective. So it's like, what's the point?
They're not even...
Why are you here? Why
go to point cost. Go to... I want to see how much they cost. Unit composition.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the town.
Sorry, my bad.
No, you're fine. And the tactical drones. They're expensive, aren't they?
I think so.
Oh my gosh.
Points. So for only 5 more points, you can get a model that actually has some OC and can actually do something.
I was like, let's move on to something better, and then I saw Tidewall.
All right, so then really quickly, we're going to talk about the fortifications here. We have Tidewall.
The next one was Tidewall Drone Port.
Yeah.
It's okay, honestly. It's better than tactical drones.
It's okay. E tier.
Let's do E tier. I like that it can shoot a bunch of things.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's not going to with its movement. It's like you put it in the middle of nowhere and then you leave it. I don't know, man.
I don't know. You know what I like about these models? They look cool.
They do look really cool.
They look really cool.
Yeah, if you paint them really well, these things will look legit. You will be laughed at as you play them, but you can like play them with your head held high on the paint job. Let's move on.
There's the other fortifications. We're just going to mention them real briefly. We've got the Tidewall gun rig, the Tidewall shield line, and the Tidewall drone port that we've just talked about. These all are going to be the same. They're going to be in the year tier.
They have better capability than the other ones, but they are still just lacking movement, lacking the ability to adjust based on the opponent's strategy.
They're hard to place because they're so big sometimes. Fortifications in general just kind of struggle right now.
What would you rate, actually? We've been rating a lot of the aircrafts as D. Which one would you pick? One of these fortifications or an aircraft?
I definitely think the aircraft is better because bare minimum, the aircraft has the movement.
They can go to their opponent's stuff.
I need to engage on all fronts and I need to be at the one corner. An aircraft can at least get there, right?
Yeah, these guys are like, you're not going to get past this location.
Tidewall shield line, I'm going to move 3 inches or whatever.
Yeah.
They're cool. I wish they were cooler because they look cool. The gun rig, it's like you might as well have a hammerhead.
And honestly, there's nothing that does that in the army.
Yeah.
Like if anything else, it's unique. But it's just, I wouldn't go with that direction ever.
Yeah, in general, most armies, fortifications, there's just there's a general problem.
Deep striking, reserves. You can get around these things so easily in so many ways. Yeah.
All right. So let's talk about a model. We got Vespid Stingwings.
Yeah. These guys are good, but there are other parts of the army that do what it does better.
I mean, when you initially look at them, like the first time I opened up their profile, I actually liked them. I was like, man, they look good. They do flat 2 damage.
Want to play?
Yeah, go for it.
Cost is pretty cheap, honestly.
Yeah, not bad cost. Like they have some OC. They can deep strike.
Assault weapons.
Assault weapons that are 18 inches.
Yeah,
like,
these guys move 12 inches. Like if you really think about it, compared to the Tau, like 6-inch movement.
Yeah,
these guys can move. These guys can haul.
Yeah, and I think they are good and can be used in lists. But it's just one of those things once again where it's like, and breachers are better, or
these are better, or that's better. Yeah,
better options, right?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the problem I think a lot with the Tau units right now is so many units are around that same point range, and it's just like.
I would put them in an army.
I would.
If you got them, they look awesome and they're unique. I like how unique they look.
They are. They're unique. They're fun with the lore.
Yeah.
I do think they are. If you are going to take them, what you want to be doing with them is having them as a deep strike unit. They can help support. Maybe take a back objective. Maybe shoot something that with your strength 5, AP 2 damage. Maybe you have a 5-man target on objective you want to shoot off.
Yeah. And let's be honest, you can just kind of take them off the board and put them back in later on.
Yeah. Once again, it's tempting. When I looked at it, I was like, it's kind of cool. You could deep strike with them.
You can. I like how it's almost like I'm going to tell my my opponent that I'm going to be working over here, but I'm not. I'm actually going to be like in a completely different part of the board, deep striking over to that part of the board too. So that's big. Yeah.
So we like them. We think they're okay. So we're putting them in the B tier. For Vespid Stingwings. You can build them if you really like them. Have them do a specific job in your army. Now, that's all the ones in the standard index. And we're going to go and talk about a couple of the... There's 2 data sheets. Well, there's one, right? There's one data sheet in the Forge World versions of these models, and it's the Tetras. We're going to talk about the Tetras to kind of finish it out for tonight.
They're really good. I know that a lot of people, when it comes to Forge World, I don't know. A lot of people don't play Forge World, but I feel like this Forge World model, everyone saw it and was just like, yeah, it's good. It's good. I like how it's almost a dedicated marker light unit for the greater good.
Yes.
Yeah. I feel like when it comes to shooting, a lot of people say, why do Tau only have 4 ups? And Tetras are the reason. Like, why? They're good. You can reroll hit rolls. And
let's just go ahead and read the ability.
Yeah.
It's so good. These guys have 14-inch movement, 7 toughness, 4 up save, 7 wounds, and 2 OC.
Which is pretty good. They're a tough.
About the same size as the Piranha, little vehicle guy. Deadly Demise 1. They're infiltrators, which is nice. You can infiltrate, get up there. But high intensity marker lights. This is why you're taking them. Each time this unit is an observer unit until the end of the phase, each time a model in its guided unit makes an attack that targets their spotted unit, you can just re-roll the hit roll. Full re-rolls. Not re-roll once, full re-rolls.
And this makes attacks a lot more reliable, I feel.
Yes.
Because you can take a ballistic skill, which, let's be honest, it's Tau. You're dropping it down to 3 with a marker light. With a marker light and for the greater good ability. And you can turn that to rerolls. Mm-hmm. You're hitting so often, like going on 90% of the time. All of those hit rolls are like 90% of those hit rolls are just going straight through. And that's huge. I feel like that's a huge boost in hits for any unit you want.
Yeah.
For 80 points.
80 points, yeah.
Yeah. And then those things they have OC. If you really want, they've got 14-inch movement and 2 OC. And so
some pulse rifles.
And some pulse rifles. So they can do damage, they can move around, they can hold objectives, they can be a body, if you want them to just kind of sit on an objective really quick to do what this or that. But most importantly, they can just like buff up your other units so much. And so this is why when you hear me talking about the Pathfinders, I'm like, I'd rather do Tetris.
Yeah.
Yeah, throw a Pathfinder in there, but yeah, don't fully rely on Pathfinders. Rely on the stealth battle suits and the Tetris.
Yeah.
And so these
Tetras are amazing. They give you the consistency that you want, right? I'm going to have these units here. If I'm going to be aggressive with breachers and throw them up, I want them to do damage and kill whatever they're targeting at. Otherwise, I think a lot of your pieces can fall apart. So yeah, is there a S++ tier?
I'd put them at S. Honestly, they're great.
Yeah,
Crisis. If we didn't put Crisis battle suits on S++, Tetras don't get to be on S++. Yeah, Tetras are S. I feel like they're a good assisting unit. Yeah, they assist the heck out of that. So
awesome. Any final things you want to say? Any combos or anything that you think look interesting?
Oh man, I just can't say enough about that Farsight, Farsight Crisis Tetra stealth combo. I'm going to say that again. Farsight is the commander of a crisis battle suit unit that is brought in by a stealth unit as wherever you want it to be, wherever you need it to be, and then assisted by a Tetra. Like, man, you don't need a 6 crisis battle suit unit, because that thing is going to kill whatever you wanted to put in. It's going to kill the first one it kills, and then the next turn it's going to kill the next one, and then the next one. And as long as you can plan your cards right, man, that combination is huge.
Yep.
So
yeah, this is our ranking for the units. Make sure that you guys are planning your armies with this in consideration, but also plan your armies so that you can score secondaries, right? Some of these units that we may have put in a lower tier are still extremely useful in a certain way. You could be having those in there just to score secondaries, whatever your play style is. And that's the fun part is, you can build different armies to do different jobs and different things. But yeah, we really enjoy this, going through the Tau. We're going to be prepping some battle roll reports for you guys with our Tau army, playing against some Tyranids and Necrons and the other armies that we have in the studio. So we're excited to get them out, get field testing a lot of these things. Combat Oh, to the combat patrol. Oh, let's look at it. What is it in the combat patrol box?
We got a few more things to rate here.
Yeah. No, someone is asking. That's a question, right, Emily? Yeah. So someone has asked, what would you add to the combat patrol box? So let's look at I can't remember from the top of my head what's in the Tau combat patrol box. There we go.
We know Necrons really well, and we know actually AdMech really well when it comes to combat patrol. But
okay, so in the combat patrol box that you buy, it looks like you're going to be getting an ethereal. You're going to be getting some stealth battle suits, and you're going to get a infantry team that you can turn into breachers or a strike team. Once again, we like the breachers. I think that those are strongest infantry right now.
Yeah. Honestly, even alone, if you can get them up there because of the assaults, they're really good.
Yeah. And then you're going to get a ghost kill, which we think ghost kills are good. They're definitely a good tool unit. But what would I add to that box to fill out the army?
Do they have the breacher fish?
Well, so this is like a starter box, right? So someone's bought this combat patrol. Now they're looking at trying to fill out their army a little bit more. So crisis battle suit is probably going to be my answer, right?
Oh, they don't have crisis battle suits.
No, the combat patrol doesn't come with the crisis. So you're going to start building out your army slowly with these crisis battle suits. I think that's going to be the next step.
Devilfish is what I'm saying to fill out that.
Devilfish and transports, right? Transports to get your breachers and your infantry out there.
Honestly, transports just in this edition.
Yeah, are really good.
They changed a lot of the rules so that there are so many different things you can do with them.
Yeah.
So.
Big changes. You can move your transports and then disembark. In 9th edition, you had to do that before you moved the unit. Otherwise, they couldn't disembark that turn. So transports really did get quite a buff, especially for Devilfish, man. They're so cheap. 75 points. And so fast. especially for shooting armies, right? I don't know, transports aren't as much as if you're trying to charge, because a lot of times they can't. But if you're just trying to drop out of a transport and shoot up a bunch of stuff, it's great. So
I would honestly, I would leave it there because I'm going to be honest. Tetras are phenomenal.
Yeah.
But they're probably going to change next edition.
And probably.
Yeah.
Crisis battle suits, I think, is a good answer.
Crisis battle suits are going to stick around.
They're always going to be kind of the meat and potatoes of the army. So a good way to fill out your army is just kind of keep getting the crisis suits. Maybe get a little bit more.
And a leader, if you can manage it for the crisis battle suits. They don't have a leader for this, do they?
The leader that comes with this one is the ethereal, which is nice, but
it's a good one. But honestly, go for the conventional, not the far sight leader, but go for the
Cold Star Commander.
Yeah.
Highly recommended.
Highly recommended. S tier, right up there.
Yeah. So some of these battle suits, and then once after you get to that point, you can pick a fun unit, kind of maybe expand your army, like Riptide, Hammerhead, Storm Surge, those kind of things.
Do some research into some strategies that you like.
Yeah. Depends on your play style too. What's your play style like? Do you want to be just a whole bunch of guns sitting in the back line, just shooting stuff as it comes out? Or do you want to be more aggressive and charge on those objectives?
Whatever's more fun for you. I feel like whatever you play as Tau, even if it's not like the meta strategy, if you can play it well, you will play it well. Just because you will be able to adapt to it, you're going to have fun playing it, and that's the key.
Yeah.
If you have fun playing it, then you get good at playing it.
Yeah. And a lot of these units that we've ranked in the B tier and C tier and stuff like that, we're not saying that those units are like unplayable, right? We're just saying that you have to make sure you pair up some of the synergies with those units to make them work better. And I think they can work in armies that way really well.
Yeah. I think that's why, especially this Tau list this Tau video is so long, because it mattered. The details matter here.
Definitely matter.
Yeah.
Any other questions in chat? Awesome. Hey, we really appreciate you guys. We enjoy these videos. We like talking about the codex. If you guys enjoy them as well, please comment down below. Let us know. Let us know what other armies you guys would like us to talk about. We like these videos. We plan on continuing maybe talking about other codexes as they come out. And once again, we really appreciate your support. Like and subscribe really helps the channel out. And we do have our Patreon with the link down below.
At least check it out. It looks,
yes.
Emily has spent so much work making it look, and the wording is just on point, I feel, with a lot of that. So just check it out. You don't
check
have
it
to...
out. Let us know what you think about it. Comment down below.
Definitely.
We are going to be giving actual product with our Patreons that support us as we go out. But yeah, really appreciate you guys. Hope you guys had a good time. Good luck gaming out there.